family. We're about to talk tonight. I don't know why this is on. We're about to talk tonight. Give me one moment while y'all jumping in. What's up, family? Let me let my tribe know. We are live. We are live. We are live. Jump in and let me know you rocking with your girl as I get myself together over here. And I don't go live much, but when I do, I got something to say. Now, and drop your crowns as you come in if you rocking with your queen. Okay, I think we there. Normally we do word study Monday, but we'll mix a little of that in there too. We'll mix a little of that in there too. But drop your crowns if you're rocking with the queen. Hi, Wing Victor. Hey, Moni. Okay, I see YouTube is coming in. Hey, my queen rider. Miss and love you too. You guys share this out. Let your timeline become somebody's lifeline. And share this. We're going to talk tonight for a little bit. We're going to chat. I don't actually have like an agenda for tonight. I just wanted to jump on and go live and kind of culminate this day. And just kind of reflect with you guys, share with you guys, speak with you guys. How has your day been? Hey, my queen Monique. How has your day been? What's going on? What is going on? I can't get enough of what's going on. Hey, my rider. So today was a special day, an interesting day. I think my thing is a little delayed, but anyway, today was a special day and an interesting day for me. And so I wanted to come on and share some of my reflections with you guys, my YouTube and Facebook family. Let me share this out to my community. Because I've learned being able to process the things that I've gone through have become a lot easier when I take time to be intentional and reflect on it versus just kind of skipping over it and dancing over it. So if you've noticed, I've been a lot more intentional with sharing stories, right? I've been a lot more intentional with giving reflections and experiences. I've been very intentional with allowing myself to be a lot more transparent, if you will, and vulnerable. And I found that has worked. That's been working well for me. That's out of my norm. That's out of my usual. I don't usually share a lot of things, but as I begin to process it and have something meaningful to get out of it and extract out of it, I share. And so that's been beneficial to me. That's been a blessing to me. That has been helpful for me. And so I pray that as I share, other people are able to gain encouragement, motivation, inspiration, whatever it is that you want to call it, whatever it is that you consider it. I'm trying to do like 50 things at one time. I just finished cooking dinner, just finished trying to clean up. Before that, I'll just went grocery shopping. Before that, I was at the gym. Before that, I had an 8-hour training to do. So I've been doing a lot of moving around. So bear with me as I gather myself together. But I wanted to share some of my reflections from today, being that this was a year that my mom has passed. It's been a year that my mom has passed. And I initially thought that today was going to be a lot more difficult, if I'm honest. Like I was expecting today to be a lot more difficult for me than it was. And it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. But I think that's because I've been processing it throughout this whole month. So I knew today was coming up. So I've been very intentional. And you can't, I want to say this correctly, you can't plan out grief. You can't schedule in grief. But I've been intentional about allowing myself to grieve throughout this entire process versus like trying to hold it in and waiting for some magical day, if you will, right? Um, so instead of waiting for some magical day to happen, I've been kind of going through a grieving journey day by day, which has been a blessing. It's been a blessing. It's been helpful to me. So um, tomorrow, if you guys saw my post tomorrow, I'm going to be um, I'm going to be on a podcast called You, Me, and a Cup of Tea. So on that podcast, You, Me, and a Cup of Tea, I'm getting very transparent about some things, especially around things around my mom's departure, her passing, her death, whatever you want to call it. I say she died. We know spiritually we get all of that. But here's one thing that people always ask me, like, how are you doing with the grieving, or what's something that's helped you? Here's something that annoys me. Y'all want to know something that really annoys me? Let me pull up my yard stream so I can see y'all talking. Hey, my Queen LaShawn. Hey, Queen Tiffany. I'm gonna tell y'all something that annoys me. I'll share this out. What up, Coach Cody? Hey, Victor. Hey, Modest. What's up, y'all? So this is something that really agitates me, that I've had to process on this journey. And no offense, everybody processes things differently, but for me, what really bothers me is when people try to over spiritualize a human experience like that. Yeah, you want to agitate me, and I probably won't say nothing, but like that really agitates me, not just for me personally, but even for other people. When people are experiencing a very real human experience, whether perceived or real, to over spiritualize their human experience, to me, is to dehumanize the person. Is to dehumanize the fact that although we are divinity, we are yet humanity. And so when people like overly, and again, y'all know I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very much, hey sister, I love you, right? Mom in heaven, because I know she's smiling. I know she's smiling. And anyway, child, save that for later. Y'all share this. I'll let your timeline become somebody's life, and I believe we're gonna drop some gems and some jewels tonight. It's gonna encourage people in the process. Normally we do word study Wednesday. Word study Monday, but we're gonna throw some word in there too. But I don't have a word study Monday prepared. But what bothers me is when people like really over spiritualize the human experience and the human process. To me, it dehumanizes and devalues that person's lived experience, right? And I feel like, I know we say validations for parking, not for people, and that is correct. But in a sense, when you're dealing with someone's humanity, I think it's important, and as a coach, it's something I have to do, is validate people's feelings, like validate their feelings of grief, like validate the fact that it's okay for them to have that space. Like, I know to be absent from the body to be present with the Lord. I know that. Like, I know that, right? But to allow people the space to feel, the space to grieve or experience the amalgam of human emotions that we go through, I think is so important, because we rob people of the ability to be human. The Bible even says, okay, y'all want word study Monday? We'll throw some Bible in there. The Bible even says we have not a high priest who cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, right? But was tempted on all ends, yet without sin. So if even Jesus wept and Jesus felt for the people, even when he made the statement, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, his heart was heavy. Like, he was grieving because of how many people needed to be discipled and needed to be brought into the revelation, the knowledge of Jesus Christ, but there weren't enough laborers. So even Jesus was touched through his humanity. So for us to try to rob people of their lived experience and their humanity, is to invalidate the human experience, right? We're not robots. I used to think I was one. I used to think that I was a robot because I had I had trouble expressing my feelings. Now, just because I had trouble expressing it, it didn't mean an inability to feel, right? So my inability to express it did not negate my ability to feel it. If you understand what I'm saying. So I could feel it. I just didn't know how to articulate or express what it was that I was feeling. So to many people, I came across as just even growing up as a young child, came across as very calloused or very stoic. I didn't show a lot of emotion. I didn't show a lot of feeling because I didn't know how. It's not that they didn't exist. I just didn't know how to express them. So I just want us to be more sensitive to, yes, we have to allow, yes. Sister, call me tomorrow. We got to talk tomorrow. It was has been the evening because I got a class. We have to be able to be empathetic, right? To have empathy for people, no matter what their journey is, whether it's grief or whether it's loss of a life, loss of maybe not a literal life, but sometimes we grieve the loss of, things or jobs or opportunities, or we grieve the life that we thought we would be living by now. So for me, like a lot of my grieving, apart from my mom, is also grieving where I thought that I would be right now at this point in my life, which was not back in my hometown in my family's house taking care of people again. Like I didn't that was never part of my plan ever. I was never coming back to Augusta. I made up my mind I'll never come back. Like I fought my whole life to leave here. I wasn't coming back. And nothing against the city. I think it's a beautiful city, an amazing city, but just from my experiences personally, I didn't want to stay here. I wanted to go on to do other things. So we have to be able to understand. We have to be able to hold space for people. I'll use that term. We use it in coaching. You have to be able to hold space for people to be able to feel and to be able to process whatever it is that they're experiencing without the need to feel like, oh, just get over it, or just, And one thing that really I had to process even more from my mom's service last year was, we know that God is sovereign. We know that he does what he wants to do, but to use, did y'all share this with somebody yet? Did you let your timeline be somebody's lifeline? Did you tag somebody, invite them in? I want to use wisdom. We have to be okay with not having the answers. I'll put it like that. We have to be okay with not always having the mind of Christ. I know the Bible says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. But we have to be okay with understanding that we're not omniscient, meaning we don't know everything. God is omniscient. So a lot of times when we don't know something, we'll make up something. When we don't know something, we'll make up something. If we don't understand why God took someone early or why a tragic accident had to happen to somebody, we try to conjure up answers that aren't really valid. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they died because, God wanted them with him, or God knew that. Just like, you don't know why God took them. Like, unless he personally showed it, tapped you, was like, hey, I'm taking them because, like, we have to be okay with not trying to conjure up rationales and reasons and then use the Bible to support us. That's something that really bothered me when my mom passed, is that people try to use their own human intellect with our finite mind is the incomprehensibility of God. He's infinite wisdom. He's infinite wisdom. So there are some things we will never understand. We will never have the answer to. And we have to be okay with not having that answer, right? We have to be hey, my sister name say, y'all love Destiny. I love Destiny. She the thick pretty Destiny. Like, God didn't bless me with the body. He didn't bless me with the soprano voice, but he gave it to that Destiny Allen. And I'm grateful. At least a Destiny got it. He passed me by. I gotta work my butt off in the gym to get a butt, by the way. Anyway, I love you, sister. I love you. And my sister Camille, what's up, sister? Y'all gotta check out her podcast. Hey, Queen Crystal. I love you back. Like, we have to be okay with not trying to, again, over spiritualize our human experience, right? Because we rob people of that that experience to just be human, to feel. And then we have to not always try to conjure up a spiritual or biblical answer for things we don't have the answers to. So having to sit and listen to somebody say, talk about I'm the God that kills, I'm the God that makes alive, I killed her. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I know God is sovereign. He can, kill and make alive. But I just lost my mother. My mother that I sat and took care of for a year in the most traumatic experience ever. And I got to sit and listen to somebody tell me that God is a killer and God killed her. Like, somebody FaceTime me, y'all. Like, nobody wants to hear that. And so having to process, thank you. Now, when I get thick, you ain't gonna tell me nothing. I just got back in the gym. I just want y'all to know now. Pray that I get not exalted and pray the Lord doesn't have to humble me. Listen, I can't afford to get humbled no more. I'm going through it. No, but I'm kidding. I'm not, but I am. But I am. When I get thick, I ain't don't like. Game is over. Anyway, y'all know I'm silly. That's right. No sympathy. Like, no sympathy at all. Let me tell you, I'm live and they keep FaceTiming me. Yeah, so having to sit through that and be silent through it, to be respectful, be honorable, like that was very difficult for me. Like, that was hard as heck. Like, that was so hard. And y'all, you have to subscribe to You, Me, and a Cup of Tea. Y'all, tomorrow on that episode, I'm sharing in fact, let me find the podcast now. I'm talking about I'm sharing some very vulnerable moments and some truths about my experience and even experience with my mom that we don't talk about, and that we, again, over spiritualize, even like the strong Black woman or the strong person, how we glorify being strong. Like, I got something to say. Like, I got a lot to say about that. So tomorrow, y'all have to check out that episode of You, Me, and a Cup of Tea. Y'all got to subscribe to be able to see it. But it's very powerful. I'm not going on a rant. I went through a process of processing those thoughts before I shared them, right? Because, again, as a coach, someone who teaches women how to unlock the power of their voice and use their voice, I don't believe in leading and bleeding at the same time. I don't believe in leading while bleeding. So I don't believe in just sharing a story because we all got a story and I got something to say and y'all gonna hear how I feel about it. I don't believe in it. I feel like when you share something, when you divulge a part of your story or something, it should come from an authentic place that's designed to build people up, right? So that's why even when I share, people think I just be using Facebook as a diary, just be sharing. You better believe anything that I share with you, I've already processed it to make sure, one, I've reached a level of healing. I reached a level of healing that I'm able, and I may not be whole. Let's be clear. Healing doesn't signify wholeness. I'm not whole from my mother passing. There's still a hole in me, so I'm not whole. But I've reached a level of healing as it pertains to certain subject matters around that I'm able to share now from a pure place, an authentic place that doesn't cause me to bleed on people in the process. I don't believe in doing that. So if you see me sharing something, it's because I've sat with it long enough to process it enough to then share it. I may still be navigating it, but I've been thoughtful in my processes. So ultimately, anything that I share, it has to have an end goal of uplifting. So if I don't have an end goal, and everything won't have end goal, but for me personally, whenever I open my mouth, I understand the power of my voice. I understand the significance that when I talk, people listen. So I don't waste words. I don't just talk just to hear myself talk. If I'm going to share something, it has to be for the purpose of building somebody else up. And even if that building someone else up is through me sitting with it, it may be just through my reflections. I may not have a full dissertation that I've extracted from it, but I at least have something that can be of value that can encourage somebody else, right? But that's just my process around it. And so when it came to, girl, I'm sorry I had to go through it as well. But when it came to processing, my mom and y'all share this out. Let someone's timeline Let someone's lifeline be your timeline. Let somebody be scrolling, they see you shared something and they heard something that's helping them on their journey. So again, this goes back to not trying to conjure up spiritual or biblical answers for people who just need empathy, right? Who just need a smile, who just need a listening ear, right? That's what many times when I go through certain things, I don't share them until I'm actually at a good space. Because there's a scripture talks about your comforter is most miserable, right? So sometimes people mean well in their pursuit, but they don't do well, right? So people mean well, but they don't do well. So they don't say the right things. And they're sincere, but sometimes they're sincerely wrong. So I have to make sure I've reached a level of internal maturity and stability that if I do hear something foolish or something that's just outlandish, I'm not in a space where I'm gonna fall apart or I'll, be overly emotional or overly, retaliatory, which I'm not a retaliatory person in general by nature, but I have to be in a good space. So by the time I share it, by the time I tell you, I've already been able to process a little bit. So another thing that really got me, when my mom passed is I didn't get to announce it to people. My family didn't get to announce it first. Somebody else took agency and responsibility for my family's loss, who was not family. They were like family, but not family. And they decided to announce it in front of an entire group of people. So now my phone is blowing up. My niece's phone is blowing up and she's still grieving. My mom hadn't even been dead a good hour, maybe a good hour and a half. Like the people had just rolled her body out our house. And someone took the liberty to announce it publicly without the family, the husband, the daughter, the children, without them announcing it. And that was hurtful. Right. And it made me angry. I was very angry because I felt it was a sense of entitlement. Even if they meant well, it was entitlement to me, which that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother situation. But the sense of entitlement, right? Me and my father had just went to sit down to finally eat dinner, to finally breathe. And now my phone is blowing up because my niece is calling me crying because people are sending her messages because someone took the liberty to announce her death publicly to a group of people before we even got to say anything about it. Right. So that was difficult. Right. So adding insult to injury and then having to sit through, the service, which was, a lot. But what I can say is after sitting with these things for a year, I'm grateful for the space that I'm in right now. I'm grateful because through this year's journey, I was able to sit and let God work on me, right? I was able to let God work on my heart, work on my mind, work on my emotions. If I'm honest, that's why I'll always love Prophet Leslie Osei. So of course you do therapy, you do all the things, right? I did all of the things that you're supposed to do for your mental health and all these other things. And I was a few months in, I was struggling so bad with my mental health that I was having my therapist test me for CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, because I checked all the boxes. I maybe, for the exception, maybe one or two, I checked every box. I was hyper vigilant. I was having horrible flashbacks. I couldn't sleep at night. The anxiety was at an all-time high. Like I checked every box for complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. My memory, sometimes I struggle with memory loss because of just how much trauma I've experienced, not just in the past 2 years with my family, but just throughout my lifetime. I've had very traumatic experiences that I've either suppressed or just had to work through. And one of the downsides of that is memory loss. So I'm being very transparent with you guys because I want to share with you guys a little bit more. So sometimes I'll repeat if you know me personally, you know this. If you don't know me personally, you wouldn't know this. But sometimes I will repeat something that I've already told you and don't remember that I already told you. Or you'll repeat something back to me that I've told you, and then I'll ask you, how did you know that? I'm like, who told you that? How did you know that? And they'll be like, you told me. I'm like, I have no recollection ever telling you that. So sometimes one of the effects of the traumas that I've experienced is memory loss, right? And so going back, Prophet Leslie, so I was doing all of the things in the natural, and I remember just having a really hard moment, and messaged my therapist, Queen Kendra Thomas. Hit her up if you need a good therapist. She's also a believer, so it was amazing. And I was like, I really need to get tested for this and see what we need to do, because it's now become debilitating, right? Meaning I could not function in my everyday life, right? Very hyper vigilant. Like even now, I still kind of spook a little easier, but then it was worse. Like noises, sounds, the phone ringing. Because whenever my phone would ring or my father would call, I've just now reached a point where my dad can call my phone and I'm okay. Right? I've just, if y'all still rocking with me, drop something in the chat. I need to know y'all still rocking with me. I need to know y'all still here. I want to know I'm not talking to myself. I want to know I'm not pouring my heart out and nobody's listening. So let me know that y'all are rocking with the queen, because I don't know if my comments are working. But I had to navigate these things, because like whenever my father would call me, it would be because something bad was happening. So if my dad called me, it was because something was happening to my mom in that moment, and I need to either hurry up and get back home, or I needed to pray, or I had to do something over the phone. Like it was very traumatizing seeing my father's name pop up on my phone. And I'm just now at the point to where if he calls me, I don't go into fight or flight, right? I'm just now at that moment 2 years later, because for an entire year, if my dad ever called me, it's because something tragic was happening. And so that created a trauma in me. Even to this day, my phone stays on do not disturb. I don't even have my phone, and I ain't gonna lie to you. Like if you try to get in touch with me, you're not gonna get through, unless only certain people can get through. My father, my pastors and leaders and elders, they can get through, and like my close community. But other than that, you can't get through to me if you call me or text me. I'm not gonna get it until I'm in a good space to go check messages, because I'm still processing that. Because most of the time, whenever somebody's reaching out, they want something. I'm listening. Very good. Usually everybody wants something from you. Everybody's asking for something. Everybody wants a favor. Everybody needs help. Somebody asking for money. Somebody asking for connection. Somebody asking for a favor. Like everybody wants something. Everybody's pulling at something. And so to eliminate that, I just put my phone on do not disturb. And I only check my phone certain times a day, because it's overwhelming. It's a lot of overwhelm. But back to my mom, or you guys got to subscribe to the podcast, You, Me, and a Cup of Tea, because I'm sharing a lot about being strong, right? But not in a good way. And I know we say that as a good thing, like, oh, you're so strong. But in this season of my life, I don't want to be called strong, y'all. Like I'm grateful. I'm strong in the Lord, right? I'm strong in the Lord, but like being praised for being strong, when you've had to be strong so long, like me, you no longer want to be called that. Like that's not. I heard somebody say, I saw a meme. It was like, I hope my daughter's stronger than me. I absolutely do not hope my daughter's stronger than me, because that means that she's been put in a situation where she's had to develop that level of strength that I've had. And I don't wish that on anybody. Like, I don't wish any of my children, unborn, I have no children, unborn children, to have to be strong as I was or more, because that means that there's some type of hostile environment or some type of threat that has to develop that level of strength in you. I don't want you to have the level of strength that I've had. I've had to have unreasonable strength. I'm talking about strength that I know we're supposed to turn the other cheek. Baby, I've had the strength to where I have no cheeks left, top or bottom, no cheeks left, right? So there's a level of strength that I don't want other generations to experience. And I'm specifically going to talk about a strength on the podcast tomorrow that is deadly. That is a deadly strength that we don't talk about. We glamorize it and we praise it. So you guys got to watch the episode to hear about it and to hear me go into detail about that. But yes, yes. Oh, see, I'm not getting my comments on. Okay, I see the comments on my Facebook on my phone, but for some reason I'm on StreamYard. StreamYard isn't showing me you guys' comments. Last one I see is YouTube comments. Bless your heart, Luana. Switch from YouTube to Facebook. Here, Queen. Okay, I see my queen. What up, DJ Keyway? My queen, Yvette. I miss you so much. I wish the day that I picked for the Queen Me encounter, you guys could You guys will be able to make it. Oh, Queen Me Encounter Uncommon. So anybody who's on here right now who wants to come, I'm actually about to drop a discounted link for Uncommon, just because today is a special day, so I'm feeling generous. If you want to come to Uncommon in Decatur, Georgia, July 5th and July 6th, here's a link for 50% off. Don't tell nobody though. Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody that I'm giving you this. But you have to get all the way to the checkout page to see it. All right. So when you just click on the either general or VIP, it's still gonna show the regular price. But if you go all the way to checkout and you grade a checkout, you're gonna see how crazy that discount is. Okay. So if you go all the way to the end, you'll see it. So I'm dropping that link on Facebook. I would love for you guys to be there. And the reason why that day is significant is because that's my mother's birthday, or that would have been her birthday, July the 5th. And so I said, what better way to honor her than to do the thing that she put me on the earth to do, right? And so my mom she's the reason why it's also special, because I'm doing it on her birthday. She never got to experience me speak before. She's never been at a speaking engagement. She's never seen me speak. I take that back. The year she passed, so she passed June of last year. That January, her and my dad got to watch me on YouTube live. I was flown to Philadelphia to the Church of Christian Compassion. Shout out to Pastor Herndon and First Lady Kim Herndon. I did a Friday women's event, and then that Sunday I did their Sunday service. Packed, like it was beautiful, massive church. Probably the biggest church I've ever spoken in. I rarely do churches. Y'all know I've been running for a long time. I just answered it, but they're one of the first ones I did. A very big church. They got to watch it on YouTube. So that was the first time my parents ever heard me like minister or speak as Destiny Inspire, and they were shocked. But my mom never experienced my ministry or my movement in person. She got to experience, I'll tell you this, she got to experience, hey, LaPortia, I saw your message. When I get in a good mental space, I'll respond. And share this with somebody. Make your timeline somebody's lifeline. We're touching on some good stuff tonight. So my mom did not even know that I was a prayer warrior or could pray until she was sick the year before she died, because there were times that she would stop breathing. And I'm also telling you her diagnosis tomorrow. Like on the podcast, I'm telling you what she passed from. Like I'm going deep too. Like I'm going into detail exactly what happened to her and what was wrong with her. So if you have not subscribed to You, Me, and a Cup of Tea, I'm about to post a link again. Please subscribe. And I got some feedback. You want to subscribe to that episode, because I'm also sharing. We haven't publicly said, we haven't publicly talked about what she passed from. Several people know, it's gone around, but we haven't officially and publicly announced how she died and what she died of. Baby, I'm telling all of it on the podcast. Because the goal is to save other lives and to help other men and women. And so we can't do that by what we conceal, right? So we concealed it for a long time. The whole time she was sick, nobody knew. I didn't even know my mother was sick. My mother did not tell me she was sick. But when you love somebody, when you are in covenant with somebody, when you are aligned close with somebody, you feel them. You know when something's not right. So I was living in a whole nother city, but when I would talk to her, I knew something is not right with my mother. Like something's not right. And she would say she's fine. And again, she was around people every Sunday, every week. Nobody really thought nothing of it. But I was like, nobody notices that something's wrong. So I came to visit in Augusta one day, and just everything about the house was off. The dynamics of the household was off. It just didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right in my spirit, and I didn't know what it was. So I just stuck around. I just stayed a few days. And because I'm a full-time entrepreneur, I can do that. Time and location freedom was one of the best assets why I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. And so I just stuck around because something wasn't right and my spirit was not at ease. And I came just to visit for a little bit, and then I was moving somewhere else. But I just stayed, and then I happened to find out on my own. They still never told me. But one thing about a woman, we gonna figure something out. Okay. First of all, I'm a woman. And a woman gonna, if a woman wanna know something, a woman gonna know it. Okay. But secondly, I'm in covenant with my mother. So I feel her, right? The same way a mother knows their child. I know my mom and my daddy. They like my children too. They're like my kids. I love them. I honor them as my parents. But the relationship that we have, they're my peers. And I mean that respectfully. But if you understood the relationship that we had and the role that I've played in their life, we're very close. So even when we don't talk, I feel them. So I knew something wasn't right. So I just stayed over a little bit longer to kind of see like what's going on. And I found out, right? They never had to tell me, and they hadn't told anybody. I was the only person that knew besides my mom and my dad. And when I found out, I was like, okay, this is not like we gotta do something about this. And so that's when I just devoted my life, right? Yes, we will find out. Come on. I devoted my life, the rest of my life, or I guess the rest of her life. I devoted it to like taking care of her. I was like, whatever this looks like. So I knew it was going to be long term. I didn't know how long. I didn't know it would only be a year, but I made that decision then. I dropped everything I had back home in Atlanta. I let go of everything, like everything. Like I took major losses to do what I did, but I don't consider a loss because it's my mom and my dad. So it's an honor. Like you don't even have to. My mother never asked me to do what I did. You don't have to ask me. But what's crazy is she ended up telling me one day, she said, I kept telling God I need help. She said, I've been praying and telling God, I can't do this by myself anymore. I need help. But she would never ask for help. But her prayer had been, God, send me help. And he sent me. And so it was an honor for me to serve my mother and my father. And I still serve my father, but it was an honor. Like the past didn't matter. The things we had been through didn't matter. Our differences and beliefs, it didn't matter. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father. That's why, y'all, I serve her greatly. Amen. I intend to live a very long life. Yeah, I'm a live to be well over into my 90s if I so choose to. And I know that. I know say, well, Bible say no man knows the day or the hour. You're right. I don't know when he's coming, but I know when he's not coming. I know when I'm not dying, and I'm not dying till every promise of my life has been fulfilled. That's just what it is. It's just so long as I am in alignment with his word. But I'm not going nowhere till every promise of my life be fulfilled. I can't speak for anybody else. I can't speak for how somebody else's life went. But as for me, I'm determined I won't leave this earth until I fulfill every promise that God made me, until I walk out every assignment that he's given me. So that's why that's why people talk about me. You must really be committed to your church. Baby, I made a vow to God. So it's not even so much about the church, and it is. My church is absolutely amazing. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. My leader is A1, top notch. But I made a vow to God. I made a commitment to God. God sent me there. So I do it out of my obedience and my commitment to God, not to a man or a woman. I'm submitted and I'm committed, but first and foremost is the vow I made to God. And if you make a vow different not to make, some days when I say I'm not going to church, I find myself getting in my car and getting on the highway. I said it yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna rest today. I got a long week. I gotta be up early. I'm just gonna watch bedside Baptist. I'm just going. But something in me, actually, Pastor Paula was preaching. And he talked about. I call her the woman formerly known as the woman with the issue of blood, because she didn't have an issue no more. She was formerly known as that. But he talked about how Jesus literally passed her by, because it talks about how she grabbed him from behind, which implies that he passed her by. But she was determined, just because you pass me by, I'm not going to pass you by. And so her faith allowed God to turn around and see her and make her, and she was made whole. And so he talked about God spinning the block again. And I was like, well, God, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep my end of my bargain. I'm going to do everything in my power to show I'm going to have crazy faith. The Bible talks about 2 times that God was most amazed. 1, because of their lack of faith. 2, because of how great a faith they had. So I want to amaze God, and I don't want it to be because of my lack of faith. I want to amaze God because of my abundance of faith. God, I may not even always have the resources. I may not always have the money. I may not always have, and it's difficult to do what I do. I make it look very easy, and I don't try to. It's just a grace. When you grace for what you do, it looks easy, but baby, it's hard as hell. It's not easy at all. I'm glad y'all think that. I'm glad I have a grace that makes it look easy. It's not easy. Traveling is not easy. The resources consistently, it's not easy, right? But I want to show God that I'm serious. I honor him. Baby, when I was on the other side, when I loved God, but still didn't have a conviction and just did what I wanted to do. Every man, Bible says every man does what's right in his own eyes. Baby, I did what was right in my own eyes, and I didn't feel bad about it. So you couldn't make me feel bad. It was no conviction for me with certain stuff. So that's why certain subjects I didn't even talk about it. Because if I know that's not what I live or not what I believe at my core, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna fake the funk. So when I was living in my own right and my own eyes, baby, I did what I wanted to do. Very proudly, very boldly. I do what I want. I was like, you do what you can, I do what I want. That was my mentality. And that's just where I was in life. That's where I was on my journey of learning God again. And baby, if I needed to pull up somewhere, baby, my pull-up game was strong. I don't care how far away it was. If I wanted to be there, if I wanted something, it's nothing for me to get up and go. At the drop, I mean, I was very, and another that was also part of my healing journey. You know, after I went through divorce and a lot of other things, uh, erratic behavior, like negative or even unsafe behaviors. Like, but if I wanted to do something, or if I wanted something, I was very spontaneous. I would just get up and do it. I didn't even think twice. I didn't think twice. I would just get up and go. I would get up and like take trips, or I do miss that though. I miss taking spontaneous vacation and trips, especially when you a single young woman, you can do that. You know, you ain't got no baggage. You can do that. But I would, even things that were not healthy for me, I was so spontaneous and erratic in some of my behaviors as I was processing again mental health and just overall holistic health. I would just do it, and I didn't care. Like, I had no conscience about it. So if I did all of that and I was committed to the things that I did when I was not living in the knowledge of the truth of who I was and who God said about me, how much more now that I'm on God's side and I'm professing, like, all, how much more should I be committed and devoted to the things that God has entrusted me with? So things like going to church, that's easy to me. Yes, it's difficult, having to do it because I travel, but like, that's nothing. Honor my mother and my father, say less. Serving my ministry, serving my church, that's nothing. The stuff that I would do, the stuff that I would get up and do when I wanted to do it, how much more now that I say I'm committed to God and, send me, Lord, I'll go. I'll cross the hottest desert out. For your glory, I'll do anything. We sing this stuff, but do we really mean it? We sing it, but do we really mean it? Erratic and unsafe. It's real. When you're going through that trauma journey, like, y'all, I would, and one day I'll testify, maybe if God released me, but he ain't released me to share. He ain't released me to share some stuff. So for wisdom's sake, I'm not, no, no, but yeah, your girl was, now I've always been, that girl, let's be clear, but I did what I wanted. I did what was right in my eyes. All right. Until God began to develop me and give me a greater conviction, a greater consecrated lifestyle. But if I did all those things and I was so sold out to what I wanted to do on that side, now that I say I'm committed to God, how much more should I give him my everything? How much more if I gotta pop and go to church? Like, how much more to just get up and go to church? Like, the things that God has rescued me from and saved me and saved my mind and kept me safe, like, I owe him. Like, I'm literally in debt to God. I'm in debt because I should be in an insane asylum. The things that I've experienced, the things that I've seen, the things that I've done, I should be somewhere in an insane asylum. I should be in prison. I should be dead. So it's the grace and mercy of God that I am alive today, that I am in my right mind. Like, you don't understand. So when y'all see me sharing or at church or crying, or that stuff comes from a deep place. That comes from a place of gratitude. That comes from a place of sincere and complete and utter surrender. Because, baby, I remember, and it could be another way. Waiting on the release, sis. Listen, sis, you know, you know a little bit about that life. I'll write a book on it one day. I write a book on it one day, right? But that just threw me. Are y'all sharing it? That threw me off, sister. Wait on the release. Yes, sir. I'm gonna wait on the release. I'm gonna wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and He shall strengthen my heart. But some things I'm transparent about because there's a level of unauthenticity that I experience that had I had more authentic people that shared vulnerable journeys, I believe there's some paths I would not have taken. I feel like there are some things I would not have done. And again, I take full accountability for my actions. I'm the victim of nobody's story ever. Okay, I'm never a victim of anyone's story. The moment you decide to become a victim, you relinquish your power, right? And I'm not doing that. The author Alice Walker says the easiest way we give up our power is by thinking that we don't have any. So the moment that you don't think you have power, the moment you blame circumstances or situations or people for your predicament, and it very well may be their, their fault. But the moment you decide to make it their fault and relinquish that to them, you've lost your power, right? You've lost your power. So you have to make the decision to own your power, to take back your power, right? That's the only way that you're going to thrive in life. I always say the offense may not have even been your fault. True enough. The offense may not have been your fault, but the healing is your responsibility, right? Somebody put that in chat. It's my responsibility. The healing is my responsibility. The offense, you didn't do it. It wasn't your fault. But the healing, it's your responsibility. Shout out IG. I went IG live too simultaneously. I finally used the StreamYard feature where you can go live on IG too. So we're trying that out. We're on IG, Facebook, and YouTube. Waiting on the book. Listen, you know what? I'm about to write a book. And then, let's say after Queen Me is July. I have a book by September. My birthday is September 6th. I'm going to write a book by September 6th. Just give me 30 days and I'm going to write a book. Y'all know me. I got to, every year I have to accomplish something. I have to get something out of that year. And the year that I turned 31, that was the year, that 30th, it was the year I was taking care of my mom. I feel like I didn't have enough to show for that year. I felt like I had gone through so many setbacks, so much trauma, so many trials. And I could have just rested in that and been like, oh, well. But I said, you know what? I felt like I was on my Denzel flow. I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving with something. So I decided to write a book before my 31st birthday. And I wrote it in like a little over 30 days. And I wrote that book while I was taking care of my sick mom, and nobody ever knew it. I never put that in the book. I alluded to it, but I didn't put it in there. But during that process, my sister died. So I only have one biological sister. And she died while I was writing my book. She died in the process. So I had to go back and revisit the book and rewrite some of the things. So it set me back. But I was determined to write that book. I get this from my mom. One thing my mom always said is you never accept defeat. Like you never accept defeat. You never lay down. If you saw the reel I posted from her earlier from her ministering, she's like, don't just lay there and cry. Like, don't just lay there and cry. Get up. So I'm the type of person, I can't accept defeat. I can't. Okay, I'll put it like this. Let me rephrase it. The late Dr. Maya Angelou, Lord rest her soul, she was one of my sheroes. She said, we may encounter many defeats, but we must never be defeated, right? We may encounter many defeats, but we must never be defeated. And so that's the mindset I have. I refuse to accept defeat, right? Defeat may come, but I'm not going to accept it, right? In fact, she also goes on to say, in fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeat to know who you are. So although I may encounter the defeat, it's only going to show me who I really am, right? It's going to show me what I'm really made of. So it's necessary because that's the only way for you to extract what's on the inside of you out, right? But I don't have to accept and sit in the defeat. Come on. This is good to me. You dropping jewels. Hey, Queen. I refuse to accept defeat. Yeah, she believed that. Yeah, my mama did not accept defeat. Now, again, there's There's two sides to the same coin now. There's two sides to the same coin, but I'll talk about the other side on the podcast tomorrow. But the flip side of that, y'all, I watched my mother suffer. You know, some people kind of just die. No, I watched my mother suffer for a year, but she did not accept defeat. One time I watched my mom, I watched her leg go numb. Like, it wasn't numb, like she stopped walking. But that first time she stopped walking, she didn't accept it. She said, "No, Destiny, help me." I literally picked up her leg and just kept walking it. She had one good leg that could walk. The other leg, she literally, it's almost like she had a stroke on one side, and that side of her body would not move. She said, "No, Destiny, I don't accept this." She literally kept walking on that one good leg, and I picked up the other leg for her and walked that leg for her. We did that for about 15 minutes until the leg came back. She would not accept defeat. She would not accept the fact that her leg could not walk. Not at that moment. She couldn't accept it. She was like, "No, Destiny, help me. Help me." Now, as time went on, she stopped walking, but she also was not mentally there. So cognitively and mentally, my mom was not there. So much to the point till one day she didn't even know who I was. She told my daddy, she called me that girl. She was like, "Tell that girl to come here." My mom didn't know who I was. You know how hurtful that was, how difficult that was to. And for a long time, she was like a zombie. It's like her spirit had left her body. Y'all have no idea the stuff I experienced. Stuff that no child should ever have to see. Right? But I watched her. She was like a zombie. Like it's like her spirit left her. That bubbly, happy, smiling, soft-spoken woman, she was gone. And she was gone for a couple months. I did not get to experience the real her again until she went to the hospital 2 weeks before she died. And she was admitted into the MICU. That's when her real self came back. But do you know what? Hey, Madrika. April and Mama Betty Brown, same way. Yeah. You know what was also difficult, though? I don't know. I was going to say I probably could have taken it better if she was unresponsive or not cognitive again. Like, her passing probably would have been easier if she was not there when she passed. But to look at your mother in full cognitive function and just sitting there and waiting to die, like literally she's aware. When she came back to herself and they gave her the diagnosis and told her how long she had to live, she didn't understand that because she felt fine. She had came back to her normal self. She was like, "What do you mean?" She didn't even know that's what she had. She was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, it was so bad till my dad didn't even want to tell her. Like, we struggled telling her in the hospital because he didn't want to tell her he didn't want to tell her because he didn't know how she would handle it. Like, that's how determined my mom was to live. In her mind, you could not tell her that God was not going to heal her. You couldn't tell her. She just knew God was going to heal her. And, she's healed now, praise the Lord. But she was expecting it on this side, so she never gave up. Her body gave up, but she didn't. I want to put a pin right here. People will never understand what it means to be a caregiver. You won't explain it. I want to talk about Job's wife. So y'all remind me to talk about Job's wife. But let me put a pin right here and help somebody with this journey. Are y'all sharing this? You need to make sure your timeline is somebody's lifeline, because this is going to save somebody else's life, somebody else's family, somebody else's hope, somebody else's experience that they're going through right now, and they're not processing it correctly, or they don't know how. Something says it's going to help somebody. So let your timeline become somebody's lifeline. So what was I saying? Oh, I don't care how anointed you are. I don't care how much grace is on your life to move and groove, to shake and bake. I don't care. If you do not take care of this physical temple, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Do you not know that a lot of sicknesses start not physical? It starts mental and emotional. and then that creates a physical side effect, that creates toxins in the body that develop into sicknesses and diseases. Do you know it starts in your mind sometimes? Do you know a lot of diseases and sicknesses, they don't start as just genetic mutations by themselves. Some of them start with mental cognitive distortions. It starts with things that you don't take care of, pressure, stress. I'm telling you what I know. So I don't care how many tongues you know. I don't care how many people you can lay hands on and they recover. I don't care how much you can exegete the word of God. I don't care how well you travel. I don't care. If you are not taking care of this physical body, if you are not being a good steward of this physical house, you can have all the grace and the anointing as you want to. But if this body cannot contain your spirit man will still have to leave your body. You can say what you want to say. I'm telling you what I know. If you do not care for the vehicle that your spirit has to live in, and the vehicle becomes so marred and so dysfunctional and so unhealthy, your spirit man will leave the body, because we have to. Anything in this earth without a body is illegal. So we are a spirit, we have a soul, but we live in a body. The moment that your body is not able to care for itself or care for your spirit, man, it will leave your body. It's leaving, meaning you're going to die. So it would behoove you to take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health, eat right, take care of your body, take care of this temple. You're only getting one of them. I don't care how anointed you are, but I don't care in terms of your holistic health. And we emphasize our spirit man so much, and we should, but we neglect the physical man. The spirit needs somewhere to live. Your spirit man needs a body to live in. So you can call down fire you can be Elijah Jr. and call down fire from heaven. But the moment that your temple is not able to take care of it, especially because of negligence, your spirit is leaving. Your mantle is going to fall right down. Somebody else going to pick it up and run on with it. So please, I am begging you, please take care of your body. Please take care of your mind. Please take care of your mental. Please. Y'all, I was a bodybuilding champion. My body physically was in the best shape it had ever been in my life. But guess what? I was not managing my mental health well after my last competition. I started getting overwhelmed with depression, anxiety, stress. A lot of stuff started overwhelming. Do you know what that turned into? It turned into a physical ailment. It turned into inflammation of my colon area. It turned into inflammation in my body. That's what happens. These things turns into inflammation. And guess what? I had an appendicitis. How the same year that I just won first place in NPC, the largest bodybuilding federation in the nation, my first NPC show. You don't typically win not your first NPC show, because NPC is people from all over, and they're not just natural athletes, meaning some people, they own that stuff. And it's legal, but they're on steroids, they're on drugs, they're on things that enhance their bodies. I was all natural, no drugs, no nothing. I didn't even take that pre-work. I didn't even take pre-workout. I didn't even work out. I didn't even need pre-workout. I was so motivated. I didn't even need pre-workout. So I'm competing against people all over the world that's could be on steroids, on all kind of stuff, and I win first place, and I placed 3 times. 3 wins. 2 first place, 1 second place. The best shape of my life. But guess what? After that, I crashed. And then my body turned on me, and I was in the hospital getting rushed to the emergency room with an appendicitis. How? Because I did not take care of my mental health the way I was taking care of my physical body. So you need all of it. You can't just read the Bible all day and pray all day, but you're not eating right. You're not eating healthy. It don't work like that. It does not work like that. And people don't tell you this, but I'm telling you what I know from my lived experience and from what I've seen. So please, please, I know you grinding. I know you hustling. I know this is your season for grace and favor. But remember, at some point, your body will crash. It can only go for so long. So yes, run with your grace, but take care of yourself. Take care. I'm not saying take vacations all the time. Some seasons it's just not the time. I'm not taking a vacation over 2 years. It's not the I'm not able to take vacations right now. I'm not able to. But I do other things to make sure I'm taking care of myself. I can't afford to crash again. I can't afford to lose my mind. I've been too close to losing it. I can't afford to. So I just want to put that out there because people not going to tell you this. They're going to go from one extreme to the other. They're going to only focus on your spirit, man. Read the Bible, pray, fast, stay in the secret place, which is good. And you should. And I do. But you got to couple that with what are you eating? What are you consuming in your body? What toxins are you putting in your physical man? So yeah, your spiritual gates are clean. You're watching what you're listening to. You're praying. But what about that natural man? What are you putting in that temple? How much sugar are you eating? How much pork and unhealthy foods are you eating? Like, what are you doing to maintain your physical temple? How you going to go to a temple but not take care of your temple? Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Lord? Is this a body that he can live in comfortably? Is this a body that the spirit can flow through comfortably before it has to leave or the mantle has to go find another host because the host body couldn't contain it? All right, I don't know how I got on that, but I just had to put that out there. I have to slow down myself, your body. It will shut down on you. I cannot afford to lose my mind. That's it. Too many people are dependent on me to keep my mind. I can't afford. Are y'all still rocking? You're gonna drop some crowns if y'all still rocking. If you with me, tell me you with me. Do you hear me in love? Please hear me in love. I've watched too many people die. I've watched too many people. Let me go and put our word study Monday tag on because we doing word study Monday. This might as well be word study Monday. Y'all hear me in love? We thank you. This is so much you. Hey, Prophet Porter. I say Bishop. Hey, Prophet Porter. I hear you in love. Please hear me in love. I'm only telling you what I know. And before then, years back after my divorce, I had it was before I even got married. It was after another traumatic relationship. I had ulcers. I had colitis. And people when you get a lot of GI tract issues, that's when you definitely need to look into your mental, right? Because those things manifest into the physical, especially in your gut. That's why when we're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we're in our sympathetic nervous system, right? Our sympathetic nervous system. But we're not designed to live in that. I've gotten in certain seasons of my life where I lived in my sympathetic nervous system. And that's only for like emergencies when you have to, run from danger or when your body senses a threat, right? It jumps into that to protect you and it gives you that boost of energy that you need to try to fight it or flee or whatever you need to do. But we're not designed to live in that. And I was living in a state of anxiety, living in a state of hypervigilance, right? I was living in that until it had a negative effect on my physical body because the body is not designed to carry that level of stress for prolonged periods of time. Your sympathetic nervous system should only be activated in times of danger, right? In times of possible threat or harm. But if you feel like you're always living in a threatening situation, whether that's physically, whether that's mentally, even in your mental, your subconscious and your brain, it's perceiving it the same way. A physical threat from a mental threat, it's perceiving it the same way, and it's still jumping into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And so that's why when you step into your parasympathetic system, that's rest and digest. Why is it called digest? Because your gut is your second brain. Did you know that? Your gut, it's your second brain, right? There's a mind-body connection. Your gut, it connects to your mind. Why do you think when you see somebody that you don't like or somebody or you're scared of something, you feel it here? You feel that burning, that churning in your stomach? Why? Because you have a brain in there. That's your second brain, your gut. right? So even as a child, when your child says something new about, especially, I know during the school year, parents joke about, now your stomach ain't hurt all through the summer, eating all this food, now all of a sudden you got a stomach ache. Please listen to that. That's real. That's real. In school, I hated school. I was good at it, but I hated school because I didn't fit in. I've always felt very alone since I was a child, since I was like 3 years old. I always felt like, God, why am I here? What is this earth like? If I'm honest, I've always felt like an alien living in a human body trying to process human experiences. If I'm honest, like I've never quite been able to grasp the concept of earth and life. It's the weirdest thing. I can't explain without feeling weird, without talking weird. But so when I was younger, I used to like prophesy to my teachers and stuff. I used to like see things like very weird stuff that I couldn't explain and I couldn't tell nobody. And I already didn't have friends because I was quiet and weird. And I didn't like play with, I had dolls, but I didn't like play with toys and a lot of stuff. Like I used to love to read. I learned to read at a young age. I always wanted to read. I would put letters together and ask my dad, did I make a word yet? I've always had a desire to read and to write and to learn. And so, I was very separated from my peers growing up as a child. And so, I would get nervous going to school. Like my stomach would hurt. And later I realized what that was. It was my gut because I felt a threat. Like I didn't fit in. I was picked on because I was super tiny. I was super skinny. I was very pale in color. I had no color, no pigmentation, very pale, had these long hair, I was picked on a lot. And so I didn't like going to school. And I was very sad. I was a sad child, people called me. I wasn't sad, but I came across as if I was a sad child, but I was just very serious. Like I wasn't the kind of kid that joked a lot. I was always super serious. So people thought there was something wrong with me until my teacher tried to adopt me from my parents. My teacher tried to call defects on my parents because she thought I was being abused as a child, but I wasn't. I learned later through Prophet Smith, like even my temperament, my nature, I was just prophetic in nature. I'm not a prophet by office, let's be clear, but I was very prophetic in nature. So some of my temperaments and some of the ways that I had, it was just part of my nature as a child. And I didn't know that. But as a result, it made me feel very rejected and very isolated. And so I had to deal with that as I grew. The point that I'm making is the older I got, I would internalize these things and they would manifest in my physical body. Right. And so that's how I have ulcers. I started getting ulcers. I had colitis because the mental transmuted into a physical ailment. Right. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you to please take care of your mental health, take care of your physical body in addition to your spirit, man. Right. Y'all hear me in love, right? Y'all please hear me in love. You sound like my Grace. It's real. I asked my mom a question like that feeling I had, and she didn't understand. And we went to a psychologist. Yeah, it's real. Makes a lot of sense. Come on. Hypervigilance. Oh, that one there. Yes, me now because it's mental emotion. That's it. And that mental, and that emotional, we gotta process that because that's how a lot of diseases and sicknesses come about. Now, the doctors may not always tell you that. They may always just have a scientific genetic reason for it. And of course, there are generational curses and cycles. Let's be clear, that exists too. That is a thing as well. But the enemy also uses that from open doors. So when I had an appendicitis, guess who else had an appendicitis that I remember? My mom. I remember my mom having an appendicitis as well. And so the same things that the enemy attacked my mom with, he tried to attack my body with as well. And so she got the surgery and had her appendix removed. I did not get the surgery. I started having pseudo seizures as a result of internal. That's it. And so some things that are medical, let's be clear, there are some things that are medical. There are some chemical imbalances that can take place in your brain that creates depression. That does exist. We're not negating the medical side of it. It's very much real. But what I am saying is the enemy will also use those open doors and make it something more, right? He'll use any type of open door. Right. And so he used open door through my family. My mom had appendicitis. And so I had one. But I told the doctors when I went there, so I had these stabbing pains going across my body. It felt like somebody was taking a knife and trying to stab me or claw its way out of my body. Worst pain I've ever experienced. I said, if childbirth is anything like this, count me out. I've since retracted that statement and denounced that, because if the Lord wants me to have children, I will have them. And I'm praying for an easy delivery. I'm praying for no pain. Okay. I don't know how realistic that is, but that's just where my faith is. I'm praying for an easy delivery when the time comes. But anyway, my mom had appendicitis. She had the surgeon, got her appendix removed. I remember her being in the same pain that I was, in the same all four position on the floor, like crying and screaming like I was. So when I got to the hospital and they said your appendix is 6 millimeters, it should only be about 3. There's like, get naked from the waist down. We're rushing to an emergency surgery. Something in me just said no. It said, no, I ain't doing it. And I wasn't afraid. Okay, I see y'all crowns, y'all rocking. Also, my delivery was easy both times. Come on. No mess. You just built my faith up, Portia. You just built my faith. Thank you for that. Because that's what I'm believing God for. Thank you for that. I received that. I believe that. So where was I? Yeah, so before I left to go to the emergency room, so that night, it was a Wednesday, maybe a Tuesday night, I just did a class. I just did my mentorship. At that time, I had a 90-day mentorship going on. I just taught my heart out, like going in. And I was supposed to do 6 a.m. prayer that Wednesday, but that night, right after my class, these stabbing pains started happening in my body. It was so bad I slept on the bathroom floor, because it was also accompanied with vomiting. Like I was profusely vomiting all night long, and diarrhea and vomiting. It was the worst thing ever. You hear me? And it was so bad I couldn't sleep in my bed, because every few minutes I had to throw up or I had to use the bathroom, and these pains would not stop. So I slept on my bathroom floor. Yes, I slept on the bathroom floor all night long. I was paralyzed by the pain. It was so bad I had no more tears to cry. I could not even cry. So that morning I had somebody rush me to the emergency room finally, because I was like, I can't take this. But before I left, I anointed my body with oil. Y'all know Beyonce said she got hot sauce in her bag. Swag. Baby, I got blessed oil in my bag. Splash. I live with blessed oil. So I anointed my body. They rushed me to the hospital. And it was so bad they had to come get a wheelchair and come get me, because I couldn't even walk. And so long story less long, they ran tests, and that's when it was okay, you got this, you got to go to emergency surgery. And the spirit in me said, you will leave with every organ you came here with. Now you got to either have crazy faith or just be crazy to reject the surgery, and they say you can possibly die. It was like, no, you don't understand, ma'am. Nobody comes here with appendicitis and leaves with their appendix. You got to get the surgery. Long story less long, I didn't get the surgery. They told me that to keep me for 2 weeks for observation. I told them I couldn't do that either, because I had to be in Virginia in 2 days to speak. They already booked me, already paid. My queen, Siobhan, was doing it. Got to be there. It was like, ma'am, you don't understand. I was like, no, y'all don't understand. It was like, you don't need your appendix. I said, if God put it in my body, I need it. Don't tell me what I don't need. They thought I was crazy. I was like, no, if God put it there, I need it. I need it. I'm not leaving here without it. So long story less long, they was like, well, ma'am, you're going to be back within 24 hours. And we just pray that your appendix does not rupture in your body and you die, which was very real. Long story less long, here I am 3 years later, and I still got my appendix and I didn't die. And so there's that. That's where my faith was. I have very crazy faith, I'm not telling you to try this. Please don't. But that's just where my faith was. And I got other stories of just miraculous healings. But what I'm saying is all of that, though, came about through the open door of overwhelming stress, overwhelmed fatigue and anxiety, and not managing depression that tried to come upon me, right? And so the enemy used that open door, and I can't even blame the enemy because I didn't manage it, but he used it as an open door to create a physical ailment, which was appendicitis. The same year, I just was in the best shape of my life and won bodybuilding. The same year, right? So please, you got to manage those things. You got to manage your health, everything. It's not just one thing. It's not this or that. You want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, because we always talk about generational wealth, which is great. We need it. But I like to emphasize generational health and generational healing. And that's physically, emotionally, and mentally healing the bloodline. Because those things that you have in your body, mentally and emotionally, don't you know that they transmute into your children as well? They transmute into the generations that follow you, whether through demonic covenants, whether through generational cycles, or even physically. If you experience these things and you have a child, that child can still feel and pick up those, it imprints within the body. It imprints within that child. And I don't want to go too deep into this because it's not about that, but I just want to emphasize the importance of it and beg you. I want to beg you. If begging you will save your life, if begging you will save your generations, I will beg you. Baby, ain't too proud to beg. I will beg you, please, please take care of yourself. Please give yourself grace. Please listen to your children. If they say they're having stomach aches or their stomach hurt, listen to them. Dig into that. When do you notice these stomach aches come up? Do you notice it at school? Maybe it's when they get around a certain person. Please listen to them. Watch their behavior. Does their behavior change? Don't tell them be nice to certain people or don't act like that. No, please watch them. If they act unusual around certain people, if suddenly they don't want to go around certain people, I don't care if they're 2 years old or 20. If they're around certain people and they are uncomfortable, please lean into that. Listen to them. Pay attention to that because they're trying to tell you something without telling you. And sometimes when you're young as a child, you don't even have the language to put to it. You don't know why your stomach hurts when you go to school. You don't know why your stomach hurts when you get around that person. You don't know why you start acting a certain way. They don't know why, but their body knows. The body doesn't forget. The body is keeping score. So every time there's a trauma that happens, it's laced with all these things and it gets trapped in your body. And your body exhibits symptoms that you can't figure out why. Because your body is trying to find a way to decompress what you are suppressing mentally. Do you hear that? Your body is trying to decompress what you are suppressing mentally. So it's oozing through your body. The body does not lie. Your body does not lie. It's not lying. Hey, my Queen Siobhan, you own it. Is it good, y'all? Is your timeline somebody's lifeline? I just got on here to share, my reflections from today, but since we on here, we might turn to a Word Study Monday. I care about the people that God's trusted me with. And I care that there are many seasons in my life, people weren't as transparent as they could have been. And again, they may not even know what it meant to be transparent. So they operate to the best of their abilities. But as a result, again, there are many things that I experienced that I didn't want to have to learn from experience. I would have preferred somebody to tell me. I didn't want to have to learn that because we're so secretive or we're so, hyper spiritual that we cannot humanize our lived experiences for another person. Divorce is one of those things, like marriage. Like people aren't as transparent with marriage as they should be. Listen, I've been married before. I was with the same person since I was 19 years old, from 19 to 26 in a committed relationship. And there are many things I learned as a believer, as a church girl, as a Christian woman, that I wish somebody would have told me that I would not have had to learn the hard way. And so when people ask me certain things about even relationships, I'm very transparent. Now, in previous years, I chose to not even talk about relationships. I chose to stay away from them. But in this season, I've been a lot more open with sharing, or my private community, I'll share. So my queens that I'm accountable for, that I coach with, I'm very transparent with them. But publicly, I haven't shared a lot of stuff. But I do that because there's some things that if you know it in advance, if somebody shares it with you, you can avoid it, or you can know what to do if you're put in those situations. And as a woman raised in the church from a child, we are not transparent about marriage like we should be. We always we brag about, and it's a good brag. We brag about how many years we've been married, but that's it. We talk about he'll keep you if you want to be kept, but that's it. We don't go into the details and the intricacies that we need to know, the nuances that we don't talk about. We don't talk about we teach women how to be Proverbs 31 women, and we make it seem like that's the end all be all. You do that and everything will work out fine. We don't talk about what you do when that's not working. We don't talk about what you do after you've washed the clothes, you folded the clothes, you cook, you clean, you do your due diligence and lay your body down. You do everything that you feel like you're supposed to do or you're taught to do. But when that's not working, when they still go get a mistress, or they still live a different life, or they still, don't respond, they're abusive, whether verbally or physically, we don't talk about that. We don't have any answers for that. We don't share about these things. We keep them covered up. And we just tell you to keep going to church and keep praying. Okay, prayer is good. Y'all know I'm an advocate of prayer. I did 6 a.m. prayer call for 4 years straight, 3 times a week. Baby, if anybody gonna pray, I'ma pray. But guess what? There are still strategic actions and steps that also have to be coupled with your prayers that we don't talk about, that we don't make plain. So I'm a little more transparent than your average chick, because I ain't your average trick, baby. I'm a whole queen up in these streets. And so I share things that I feel will benefit people when they know. We don't talk about how many unhappily married people we have in the church. Leaders. We won't talk about that. And they probably won't. And I know, because I was one of them at one point. I was one, so I can speak from, again, my lived experiences. And from so many of them that I know personally. So many of them that are absolutely miserable and find safe spaces to confide in, because when you hold certain positions and platforms, you can't be vulnerable like that. You can't actually share what's really going on and how you really feel, because it's not a safe space for it. Because we've made things so harmful that you cannot talk about it. You have to be saved all day long. No evil have you done. No thoughts have you thought. My camera going out. It does that sometimes. Anyway, as long as y'all can hear me, it's going to kick back in. Right. So we talk about these things. I must have been getting. Yeah, I'm keep talking anyway, because I'm not done. So the camera cut off, but bam, I'm still here. So y'all still share. I'm gonna keep. Ain't finna shut me up. I'm gonna keep talking. I'm not done. I'm like Smoking. When Debo come, I stop talking, but when he leave, I start back talking again. So anyway, like I was saying, we don't create these spaces of vulnerability, right? We don't create these spaces of transparency. And again, you have to use wisdom. You can't just tell everything to everybody at any time, but you have to be able to find those spaces that you can feel safe and vulnerable and release these things, because again, they build up in mental. Do you know how many of your leaders, your favorite influencers, are struggling mentally? Are trying to process things that you know not of, but they show up very well for you? That's why you got to pray for your leaders. Pray for your coaches, your mentors, the people that you look up to, because the greater their life, the greater the battles that they face. Imagine what you're facing, what you're experiencing. Now multiply that. And that's what they're going through. Multiply that. That's what they're having to live out. And they can't tell nobody. So there are so many people that are suffering in silence because they don't have anyone to tell. And I'm actually going to be more intentional with that. So versus just talking about the problem, I'm going to be more intentional in the coming months with positioning myself as a solution. So you guys know I'm a life coach. I niche down on confidence coaching for women. But a part of if you're listening now, make note of that. part of my I know I went out, so share this back out, let them know we back on. So part of my, shout out to YouTube, y'all strong on tonight. So a part of one of my services that I'm going to bring back to the forefront publicly and offer is part of a crisis management, but also that safe space, also that advisory role, right? Because a lot of people that I associate with, they are high performers. They're leaders, they're entertainers, they're influencers, they're business people, they're doctors. A lot of the people that I know personally in my network, they are these things, and they deal with so much stuff that they are not unpacking and they are not processing, and they're not able to operate at their optimum level of performance because they're either out of a flow state, meaning they can't tap into their creativity, or they're not able to really process things without having a soundboard. So I'm going to be coming back and I won't say adding it to my services, but intentionally adding it to my services as a coach, right? Adding it to my services as an advisor, as somebody who deals with crisis management. You know how many people, when things happen, they don't have anybody to call? Yes, we know we got 911. Yes, we know we got the suicide hotline. Yes, and keep those. Those are for those situations. But there are so many people that when certain things come in their life, in their mind, they need someone to call to help them navigate and process that. And they don't have it. And they can't tell anybody, right? And so I'm going to be intentional in these next coming months, especially after the encounter, with making that service known to people who need it, right? Making it known to those high performers, those people that operate at a high level that don't have those safe spaces, that are maybe not even in their creative flow state because they've got so much baggage, or they've got so much things that's blocking their ability to really show up, not just for others, but for themselves, to be able to have peace when they're at home, to be able to really enjoy their family. So that's important, and we don't talk about it. And my heart goes out for those. Again, my mother was one of those people. My mother was that kind of person. So I'm telling you things that I've lived, things that I've had to walk through with other people. And most personally is my mom, but there are other people that I am in community with that I know process the same things. And so instead of me just being a friend or being, somebody that, no, it's now going to be a service, right? So NDAs, all of that, that's needed, that's required, because no one should have to suffer in silence because of image or because of position or status, right? And I'm a master secret keeper, okay? Master secret keeper. So I'm going to be intentional with being able to provide that. Hey, Jada. So true, Dr. Siobhan. Yeah. So I'm going to be intentional with sharing that. But again, these are just some of my journeys that I've been processing this last year of my mom passing, and really navigating the way I see life, navigating my lens again, how I see life through my lens, and making sure I clean my lens, right? Making sure I sit with myself and I process these experiences that I've gone through this last year, and find a way to extract greater meaning out of it, to make myself I won't say make myself, but to allow myself to grow, right? Allow myself to grow. But I love y'all. So two things. One, the You, Me, and a Cup of Tea podcast episode airs tomorrow, the new season. I'm going to share that link. You're going to want to subscribe to that, because I'm going in depth about my mom, about her diagnosis, about experiences, and I'm bursting some bubbles that we praise and we glorify that should not be glorified. I'm getting very vulnerable. I'm telling some very traumatic experiences that I had to walk with her through, and I'm telling you exactly how I felt about it. So apart from the over spiritualized thing that we do, where we again over spiritualize every experience, which robs us of our human experience, right? The experience where we try to speak for God, right? We try to conjure up a reason for why he took somebody, or why something happened to somebody that was a good person, when we don't have the answer. And it's okay. We're just recapping. It's okay to sit with it and not have the answer. Please don't try to give me an answer that you don't know. Please don't try to present me with something, some type of biblical interpretation that you're trying to find in order to comfort me, because that's not comforting me at all. You're not comforting. You're pissing me off. Okay. And I hate to use that word, but that's what you're doing, because you're trying to speak on behalf of a God who ain't spoke to you. He didn't. Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that? Okay, I didn't think so. So let's be okay with sitting with things and not having the answers. Let's be okay with just holding space for people. Like even now, just because I've experienced a lot of grief, again, I lost my mom and my sister within 10 months of each other. So my sister died, and then my mom died 10 months after that. And before that, my aunt died, my aunt died, my godmother died, and my grandmother died. And after my mom died, a week later, my godfather died. The godfather to the godmother that died. So I lost what? Mom, sister, aunt, grandmother, godfather. I lost 6 people. 6 people in a short amount of time. So even just because I've experienced a level of grief, I don't try to comfort other people by conjuring up. No, I don't have answers either. But what I do is I create space and I let you know, hey, I'm showing you empathy. How can I be here for you? How can I best help you right now? Because everybody grieves differently. When I grieve, I don't want you to hug me. Please don't touch me. Respectfully, like if I'm crying, don't come hug me. Don't come touch me, because I'll instantly just snap out of it. I don't like to be comforted that way. So I'm intentional with how I handle other people, with learning how do you like to be comforted in this moment? What is it that I can do to help you process this moment better? Because everybody processes and grieves differently. And again, grief doesn't always have to be the physical death of a person. I'm still grieving right now. And one of the biggest things I'm grieving is not so much my mom being gone. I'm grieving the life that I wanted to be living right now. I'm grieving that I thought I would be remarried to the right person, right? I envisioned that I would be traveling the world still doing my entrepreneur thing by myself if I wasn't married yet, just still living with my location freedom and time freedom and jumping on planes and going whenever I want to, when I come in and going when I please, like I've been doing the last 5 or 6 years. So being stationary and now being a caregiver to a parent, a caregiver to a teenager, to a father, like I was thrust into a role that I did not want. Now I was grateful and it was an honor, but I didn't choose. I didn't have children for a reason. Like I don't have kids. So now I'm taking on responsibility of taking care of other people's kids, and I love them. It's an honor, but that's not the life I chose, or else I would already settle down and have some kids, right? So I had to grieve, and even now, I'm allowing myself the space and permission to grieve. God's plan is still perfect. And if it's not here, it doesn't mean it's not coming. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But learn to manage this season. I don't know why. I don't have the whys, but I'm learning to not mismanage this moment. We think mismanaging a moment is when a big opportunity comes, when a big door comes. Mismanaging a moment can be the opportunity for growth that you're negating, that you're neglecting, because it's not the way you want it to be. So I'm saying, God, I don't like where I still don't like it here. I still don't understand. It's still dumb to me, if we're honest. It still doesn't make sense, why you took her. But, I'm not questioning you about it no more. It is what it is. I'm processing it. But it's still not making sense why I'm still here in Augusta. Why am I still in this situation? Why is my life and my business and things not where I thought they should be by now? I'm still processing that, but I'm still not mismanaging it, because I know that he's also been developing me in this season. I can't negate that my prayer life has never been as strong. I cannot negate that my anointing has never been as strong. I cannot negate that the gift of healing has never been more manifested in my life than it has been in this season of being back home. Because when I was doing my thing in Atlanta, baby, I was praying, but I was not spending hours in prayer. I was not spending time in the secret place. I prayed, but not like I do now, right? I was still trying to do Destiny's thing. Destiny was living life Destiny's way. So this season developed character. It built so much more character in me. It built more patience in me. It built a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory in me, right? But again, that came from not mismanaging the moment. So whatever moment that you're in, whatever that season looks like for you, don't mismanage this moment. I'm not saying you got to have answers. I don't have answers, but I'm choosing to be intentional about how I handle this season. Because could it not be that this is where God is preparing me for where he's about to take me next? And pretty soon I'm not going to be able to rest. Pretty soon I'm going to be going in and out and going in and out and flying all over the place, that I'm going to be grateful for the season that I sat. The season where he was developing me. A good pot roast, a good stew, like it got to sit and marinate, right? The juices got to be just right. So could it not be that God is marinating me in the spirit, right? For where he's about to take me next. So that's how I choose to see it. Anyway, did this help anybody? I'm checking the comments. I've been needing time to myself. I relate so much to your story. My brothers died 11 months apart. Wow. Praise you, Queen. Walking in a basket, and that's it. Seizing the moment. That's right, seizing the moment. I'm marinating this moment. But here's the thing. It's okay. We talk about not being complacent, not being content. But listen, about being content. The Bible says godliness with contentment is great gain. So here's the thing. I am very much content. I've learned to be content in all things. I learned to be a base. I learned how to abound. I learned how to be hungry. Learn how to be full. Learn how to suffer need. Also Apostle Paul said all that good stuff. So I am content. But baby, I'm not complacent. I'm content. No, there's a little lag. I'm content, but I'm never complacent. Meaning I know that there is still higher heights and deeper depths that God's going to take me to. So I am content where God has me. I am grateful for where. But I love y'all. So two things. One, I am grateful for where God has me, but I know that this is not it. This ain't it. So I'm content where he has me in this season of sitting and serving and developing and driving 2.5 hours and using all my resources and having to get creative and got me doing all kind of other stuff and ministering now and calling myself a minister and preaching. I'm learning to be content. I'm learning to adjust and adapt to it, but I'm never complacent because there's always more. You can simultaneously be content and not complacent. That's okay. Never get satisfied. Be grateful. Being content is being great. I have so much gratitude in it. Someone asked me today, how do you feel? Grateful. I have gratitude. That's all I can. That's how I explain. I'm just grateful. So I'm content where I am, but I'm not complacent. There's a greater anointing that I want from God. And I want to say a greater anointing. There's a greater capacity for the anointing he's already given me. The fullness of the Godhead bodily dwells in me, and I am complete in him. So all of the anointing that I'm going to have, I have it. Now it's a matter of unlocking and accessing it through my capacity. Do I have the capacity to handle and take on the fullness of the anointing that he's given me? So that's where I am. I'm not content. I'm content. I'm not complacent. Because I need to grow in capacity to unlock the greater levels of the greater dimensions of the glory that he's given me. I want to see greater healings. I've seen some healings happen through my hands, but I want to see cancers dry up. I want to see tumors dissolve. Yeah, I want to see I want to see that kind of stuff. Like I want to see dead people raise up. Yeah, until I do that, I'm not complacent because I ain't done that yet. So that means there's more praying I need to do. There's more fasting. There's more time in the secret place I need to spend with him. Right? Anyway, are y'all coming to Uncommon Queen Me Encounter? I want to see you there. Shout out to my queens that already got their tickets. Listen, for those people that's still on, I'm gonna drop the it's in Decatur, Georgia. If you can get there, I am dropping. Pre says, hey, brother. I see Instagram is over here. Shout out to IG. My sister, big sister, Queen Cora jumped on. Queen Priscilla. My sister, Bonnie, and my sister, Bonnie in love. My sister-in-law, Bonnie, jumped on. Shout out. Working in the medical field. I've witnessed it so many times. It's definitely real life. What up, Queen Tequila? My sis, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I want to see y'all at Queen Me Encounter Uncommon. I'm going to drop the link. I don't think you can press it on IG, but DM me for the 50% off link. DM me tonight only. 50% off. You got to get all the way to the checkout screen. DM me. I want you to be in the room. It's going to be an encounter, right? We are uncommon. We're never going to fit in. We're never going to blend in. What you're called to do is going to look different. And we're going to embrace that in business, in ministry, in the corporate world. How do we tap into these things? Our confidence, learning your confidence outwardly and inwardly, building it up, but also physical confidence, meaning body confidence. How do I portray confidence even through my body? How do I detect deception when I have to interact with people so not only have my spiritual discernment, but couple my spiritual discernment with my natural skill set? Baby, you become dangerous. You become a force to be reckoned with. And so I'm going to be teaching all of that. I've been Jackson at the women's conference. Hey, I miss all. I understand, Queen. What's up, my brother? Morris Williams. Got my ticket. I'm there. Yes, got my ticket. I'm there. I'm gonna drop the 50% off link. It's gonna be deactivated after tonight. Get all the way to the checkout screen. So you're gonna see like 97 and 197. If you go all the way to checkout, you're gonna see like $50 for general. So if you want to be there, this is your chance. It's Friday night and Saturday. Friday night is my mom's birthday. So what better way to celebrate her than to do what God called me to do? Friday night is going to be an activation night and an impartation, right? So we're building the groundwork. We're activating you and we're preparing you for everything you're going to get on Saturday. So Friday night is activation. You want to be there. You don't want to miss that Friday night, right? It's going to be a true encounter. Friday night is definitely our spiritual foundation. So I'm looking for miracles on Friday night. Like legit. If you sick, come. I know people say, if you sick, stay home. No, we're going to pray, but wear a mask. But I'm believing God for healing. That's where my faith is. At the last Queen encounter, my queen, she has shingles. I didn't know that. But Holy Spirit led me to rub her body down and pray for her right after that. She said she never experienced pain after that. After that, she was in excruciating pain all over her body until it affected her marriage. She could not even be intimate with her spouse. And she shared this. She made it public. She said, after I rubbed her down and prayed for her, she did not feel no pain after that anymore. That was God, because I didn't know she had that. I didn't know nothing about that. So when I say I'm expecting miracles, signs, and wonders, that's just where my faith is. So yes, this is business. Yes, it's entrepreneurship, marketplace, ministry. But baby, the Holy Spirit is going to be there, right? I ain't announced nobody that's speaking besides myself, but the Holy Spirit finna be there. The Holy Spirit gonna be there. So if I was you, I would not miss up this opportunity. Y'all know me. I don't do cookie cutter stuff. I don't do the cookie cutter girls brunches. Like if it's just a brunch, yeah. But when it comes to my business, my brand, and how I operate in ministry, no, baby, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. If we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. If we're going to go deep, we're going to go deep. So we're doing seeing yourself confident. I'm teaching how a queen commands a room. Also how you win favor. We always just talk about one dimension of favor, right? We talk about the unmerited favor. I'm talking about the favor that you win when Jesus says he grew in wisdom, favor, and stature with both God and men. I'm talking to you about that. Selling yourself and your services, seeing yourself confident, building out your brilliance blueprint, all of that stuff. So use that link or DM me personally now and let me know, because I want you to be there. I'm super excited. I'm glad y'all joined me tonight. It's midnight. That's crazy. I got on here like 10 o'clock. Y'all know I can go. I don't talk often, but when I do, you better know I got something to say. So shout out to the kings and queens that joined us. Shout out to the replay squad that is watching this or will be watching this. Shout out to you all, replay squad. I love y'all. Comment. Let me know you watching this. Let me know what stood out to you. Let me know what encouraged you. Encourage the encourager back. And tomorrow, you, me, and a cup of tea. My episode is going live and you don't want to miss it. So make sure you subscribe to that podcast. And give me feedback while you're watching it. Share your thoughts in the comment section while it's airing. Other than that, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Walk in your power. Command your room. Head up. Chest out. Baby. Crown on. And proceed like the king and the queen you know you are. We out of here.